flawless broadcast for everyone at home. In the top right here, represented by Litecoin Gaming, the Vietnamese Zerg, this is MeomaikA. And in the bottom left, from Mindfreak, the Red Terran, the Australian Terran #1 Wunderkind. Can he get it done here again against MeomaikA? This is Seither. All right. Once again, MeomaikA showing, as he tends to do in, like, not only the ZVPs that we saw against Pro, but also against Terrans. He really does like the, I guess, the flexibility and the unpredictability of going pull first before taking his hatchery. This means that when you scout a pull first as a Terran, a little shiver goes up your spine, a little bit of sweat starts to appear at the top of your forehead because you're like, okay, this could mean a lot of things. This could just be a handful of lings into pressuring my natural and maybe trying to slow down my on-location command center. Could also be a Roach Warren. It could be a lot of things. So you really got to keep on top of your toes, and you really you wish that you open Reaper when you scout a pull first, put it that way. And I do think we have Pig back on the broadcast. Pig, welcome back.
Yeah, no worries. Swapped over to the second connection there. Kind of hard to do that while I was on camera, so thanks for
all good.
holding up. You never know which one, which connection it's going to be that's going to work and let me down, but we are back. The glory of having two internet connections at least. Thank you. Technology for backing us up. Now, 4 Zerglings will be coming over, as you said, but the SCV is going to see those, so Meo's going to have to, of course, be a little sneaky with them, potentially. Does see the reactor, actually, so he's going to know. Oh, okay, no Reaper on the map.
Yeah, and obviously, this means you have no early game units as a Terran, but with going pull first like MeomaikA does, it's not like a 12 pull, right? So you can actually, you can go reactor first very safely against this as a Terran and get quite a bit of marine production nice and early, which is a plus side for Seither. It's not, you don't always see fast expand reactor first builds from Terran, but they definitely work. I've seen Cure do it before, and I borrowed it off him, actually, his TVZ that he used to have. But
I think it's great. Yeah, I really like the marine drop version where you just build Hellions one at a time out of the factory.
Yep.
And then you swap it onto the reactor a little bit later. It's a lighter pressure, but it's incredibly flexible, and this gives you more raw material. So the power of that reactor first is if your opponent is doing like a one-base Roach attack, pull first, Roach Warren, any sort of early pressure, you're like, oh, I have 6 Marines by the time that hits. 7 and 8th Marine on the way. That's just so much more firepower than most build orders. You're like, I have a Reaper and 1 Marine, and I'm building 2 more. Can you just give me a moment? It's like, I got 8 Marines in a bunker. This is the easiest hold of my life.
Now, Pig, I did like a sigh of like, oh, when I saw that Evo and +1 melee come down, because it really just looks like the way that MeomaikA likes to play this matchup at the moment. Obviously, I don't want to read into it too much, but seeing that Evo and seeing that melee upgrade, it does seem like he still wants to just flood lings and try and control the map. And just like the last few times he's played Terran and played Seither. Yeah,
I mean, I said just before, he needs to not go 25 drone massling melee like he almost always does. But, he's at 35 drones. So he's built a lot more workers off it. He's skimping on queens. I think this is totally okay. Especially because there's no like Liberators or Banshees or anything, no battle cruisers. Sometimes battle cruisers just straight up win versus Meo because he's so light on the queens. So the Lings are kind of his just best unit for controlling the map early. As long as he doesn't commit to too many more of them, I'm okay with it. It's all about, can he get to 50, 60 drones nice and fast? And as long as he manages that side of things, it's the behind these Zerglings, what he's doing well, then I think he's good.
Trying to get a mule here, see the micros it to the other patches to save, and also keep some units in the bunker. He unloaded it, actually, because he just loaded up a medevac to the north side, which is on its way to MeomaikA's side of the map. There are a lot more lings on the way, so I think handling this drop is not going to be hard for MeomaikA. But Seither is going to get a follow-up scout, and it looks like the lair's in the main, so he should see that with this medevac.
Yeah, I think Meo will be in a pretty good position for dealing with it. Now, Ling Muta is kind of what it looks like he wants to transition into, as he's got pretty quick 3 gases up behind this. And I say Ling Muta. There's a reason I didn't say Ling Bane Muta. He doesn't really make Banelings with his Ling Muta. He just makes more Zerglings and more Mutas than most people make. Now, his Zerglings are actually out of position. These Marines are going to find a fair bit of damage.
Oh, this is a very bad start for MeomaikA. I saw all that Ling production. I thought he was just fine. The Hellions did kill a bunch in the middle, but I didn't think they killed that many. It's just that the Lings are out of position.
Yeah. Yeah, just the Lings moving out of position despite seeing the drop coming, so a huge mistake from him. Now he's going to try and drop creep with the Overlords, which will help the Zerglings have a little bit of extra mobility. Seither losing 2 of his Hellions, but nice pullback micro, roasts quite a few of those Zerglings, and these are great trades for Seither, whose drop goes back into the main base. The Hellion's still distracting Liberator on the 3rd, but it does fly into a Spore Crawler, so you know what, Meo's starting to get on top of this.
Hey, he's starting to stabilize here in the main base, and the Liberator took quite a bit of damage from that Spore Crawler. It did survive, though. It's repositioned itself in the natural, so it's dying a little bit of mining. And considering that MeomaikA is going Spire here, he is affecting the gas bank, which means, you know, potentially 1 or 2 less mutas in the short moments there. Well, maybe just the 1 less muta. The 3rd base just about to finish here for Seither. The door is open, but he sees the Lings.
Oh, he's going to get a couple of SCVs. Oh, he's going to go for it.
Wow.
Whoa! There's almost no Marines in there, Maynard. 3 Hellions come back, but that's a ton of Zerglings with +1.
Certainly is. Seither had quite a bit of time to react to that. You know, got to say a little slap on the wrist for Seither there for letting the Lings in. It's an easy hold there. Lings coming in here with the Marines, and they do hold on, but losing 9 SCVs that really just didn't need to die.
Yeah, indeed. 9 SCVs do fall there. And nice, important piece of damage, because Meo, up to that point, had not built his workers more beyond the 48 count. He's down to 46 now after taking a few more gases and structures. He's adding a couple more workers, but his mineral income is very weak right now. It is incredibly weak for a 3-base Zerg. So I think at this point, this is where you need to see Meo drone really hard, because his main, natural, and 3rd are all drastically undersaturated right now. And he's starting to hit the worker count, but after that sort of damage, Zerg's meant to be quite ahead. Instead, Seither is still in a solid lead. The only thing he's behind on is upgrades.
And Combat Shield, speaking of upgrades, just starting it now. Stim's been done for a bit, but got to drop to the right side, trying to hit the main base of MeomaikA again. Widowmine's moving out here to try and intercept those Lings. Those Lings going to kill one of them there. The other one burrows on the top of that ramp, but good split from MeomaikA. Going to get rid of those mines basically for the cost of 1 Ling, which is always great. Now, the drop from Seither not only has to do some damage, it also has to see what the next part of the plan is here for MeomaikA. Now, obviously, seeing the Spire would be amazing, because at the moment, Seither is really not seeming super prepared for Spire. Obviously, he's on 3 bases, and he hasn't really moved out, so he has units at home to deal with them, but he hasn't started turrets or anything like that. There we go. Now he's found the mutas. He engages them a little bit and disengages. That drop is going to get taken down.
Great trades here for Meo, and this is what he needs, because Meo's never going to have that big economy. We always talk about it. He's lower on economy. His army has almost no durability the longer the game goes, because the Terran upgrades will outstrip him as time goes on. He's going to go for a big old Ling Muta attack, and there's not many units right now here for Seither.
Yeah, these Widowmines actually need to put in some work. If Meo decides to commit, it might scare him off, these Widowmines, but never mind. In come those Lings, no fear, and he comes with a Mind Drag. Kills quite a few Marines, loses a lot of Lings as well, but the 3rd base is left very exposed.
No Overseer here to clean up the Widowmines, unfortunately, for Meo. He's going to take out that Liberator with only 3 drone losses, though. These Marines are still in small numbers with the Zerglings. If they can get surface area, they're so powerful against these small numbers of Marines.
Seither is actually potentially going to snowball into failure here as he loses quite a bit of his front line. He doesn't have that many units at all. His army supply is quite weak against MeomaikA. And Meo is actually getting a few drones up behind this. Seither is desperate to try and get one of these Widowmines to get a good hit on those Lings or the mutas, just trying to scare Meo off. And it looks eventually he has enough Marine production to stabilize here and retake that 3rd. But it's still, he's not out of the waters yet. Still got Meo on his front doorstep playing his very signature aggressive style and not really being punished for it.
Oh, the fresh mules in the open there. And I think there might be enough Lings. I mean, the problem is, so Widowmines are really good versus Banelings. They're great versus Mutas. If you have enough Zerglings, you're almost consistently going to be dragging Widowmines into the Marines. You know, there's no big slow clump of Banelings. Like, you know, it's just, you need enough Marines in a ball to deal with that. And that's the thing which might not be the case. It's a 2-1 upgrade advantage for Meo. There's a good Widowmine spread, but the Mutas are going to start cleaning them up. 2 Widowmines going down without getting a chance to fire. A ton of Zerglings on the north. The Baneling Nest going down. The mythical MeomaikA Baneling Nest will come in eventually. And it seems like he's going to add that to this composition. Only at 65 workers still is Meo, but he is building a gigantic number of Zerglings.
Yeah, he certainly is. Going to have a massive flood of Lings, and if any of those Lings become Banelings, well, you know, we're cooking with gas here. That's actually quite effective against those Marines, but obviously with the Baneling Nest only just coming up now, that's a long way off of having Baneling speed, which is when they become really scary off creep. And speaking of creep, MeomaikA just does not make queens. So there's only a queen really to inject hatcheries, and there's one queen sitting there with 200 energy, and that's it. He does not really drop creep tumors. He's using overlords to drop creep here.
Yeah, he doesn't believe in it. There's a lot of people out there who believe things are more worth stuff if you make them harder for yourselves, and he embraces the challenge. Mio loves to just charge.
Oh my god.
Oh, that was a huge Widow Mine, then another huge Widow Mine, Maynard.
Oh no, those Widow Mines were fantastic for Seither. MeomaikA losing most of his ground army, but the mines working against the Terran there. He loses that force in between the natural and the third, but maybe he can hold on still.
There's just not enough Marines in there. Yeah, you got some great mine hits, but then there's so many Mutas and Zerglings. The raw number of units for Mio dealing damage, and that's the power of not having Banelings. You just get so many Mutas. Look at that. They just steamroll right through the Marines. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Seither does not have the numbers.
It seems like the back of Seither has been broken and it has to tap out as MeomaikA takes game number 1. And what's got to be frustrating there for Seither is that MeomaikA played straight up MeomaikA. He did not adjust. He did not change. He played the style of ZVT that he's played against Seither so many times before over the last however many years. And it worked.
Yeah, this is a pattern in this tournament. This happened yesterday, game 1 against Probe. Probe kind of had an early slip up and let his most standard style dominate. And if you let Mio play his most comfortable style, I'm telling you, he is a mechanical monster. He is a beast. There's a lot of kind of crazy, cheesy players we talk about who are not that fast. It's all sneaky strategies and they can't really micro it. MeomaikA is all micro. He's all about the multitasking. He's all about finding a way in and getting that opening and letting these lings in the front door. You pointed it out. They dilly-dallied out front for a while before even going in.
They attacked a depot. Like, it's very rare that you have like a couple seconds to react to a ling run by. Normally it's milliseconds, but he actually had a couple seconds there because of the nibbles saying, hey, your base is under attack, to give you that alert to look in your natural. That was a lovely Widow Mine hit, but in the end, just so many mutas, so many lings, and this drag into the Bowler Marines. Goodbye. And you can see that Mio at this point is just snowballing 30 army supply and change up ahead.
I kind of wish we had those fights in slow motion just because you really get to see why Mio doesn't like Banelings. It's because the Widow Mines are his Banelings. The way he engages in the big fights, whenever the Terran's set up, he always flies his mutas over the top of the Marines. And because the Marines need to clump up against the number of Zerglings. They can't spread out or his Zerglings will annihilate them. The whole point is the Marines need to kind of form a phalanx sort of situation, you know. Line up, limit the surface area, stutter step if you can. Problem is, then guess what? You're very clumped for splash damage, and he just flies his mutas right over the top of the Marines and then starts attacking. And he often even does it with a bit of a magic box. So his mutas aren't taking maximum splash. They're kind of taking it across the spread of the mutas, but he's also getting it right into the heart of the Marines at the same time. So it's kind of really cool using your opponent's weapons against them.
Indeed, and to great success with game 1 being in the bag. More work ahead here for MeomaikA, but obviously fantastic here as Seither, the dominant one in their rivalry, looks to try and return with some damage in game 2, which will be on just after the break. We'll see you then. G'day, StarCraft enthusiasts, and welcome back to the DreamHack Masters Fall Edition here for the Oceanic Rest of Asia main event. I am Man Up with Pig, and we are in our first best of 5 of the day. One map going to MeomaikA, the Vietnamese Psycho Zerg, as he plays his very tried and true style against Seither and finds the damage. Putting the Terran on the back foot here to start things off. Will Seither fight back in game 2? I have a feeling that he might.
Definitely not the start that you want. It's kind of refreshing when I do see someone lose to this, because anybody who's played Meo on the ladder, you're like, I kind of know he's going to do this, and there's going to be Zerglings poking in, but like, I'll be ready for it. And they just always get in. It just happens, you know? And then you're like, I think I can defend. I've got mines, I've got marines, I've got turrets, and there's just the lings and the mutas just surround you, and it's this helplessness. And sometimes you'll look through the replay and you'll go, oh, I was actually ahead on workers at this point. And I didn't even realize that he didn't build drones for a while. But then there's other points where you think he's being aggressive and he'll build like 20 drones at once. He has this indefatigable nature. It's hard to understand exactly where he's at in the game, and that's why you can't give him a lead. You cannot let him get any momentum, or he will carry you away like the tide. Up here in the top left, representing Litecoin Gaming, it's MeomaikA.
And in the bottom right from Mind Freak and the Aes Sedai, this is Seither. Definitely tugging his braid after game 1.
Well, hopefully it doesn't develop into a full-blown MeomaikA block that stops him from channeling his great Terran powers. Got to tap into the source of men and guns and see what you can do, man.
That's right. Tap into the source, dude. That's what we're all trying to do just every day. We're just guys in this world trying to tap into the source.
So it's going to be pull first for Meo. This is, of course, Seither's map pick. And, you know, we saw yesterday, Meo looked really good on his map picks and really poor in the final map, which was not the one that was too great for him. You know, it's sometimes, like you've been saying, you know, it's really hot or cold when you look at Meo's play. So I really, what I think a little surprised by is that there haven't been as many curveballs on the maps that he's not as strong on, you know? Whereas the really surprising cheesy builds, for me, it feels like Meo's gotten so good at his kind of mechanical weird style of constant map control and pressure. But where's the sneaky cheese mixed in there? I would love to see some. That being said, doing it against Seither, who's already playing cautiously against you, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, this is a hard man to roach rush, and I don't super love roach rushes or something like that, or baneling bus on Romanta side, because I feel like they're a little bit more easier to hold. I know you have like a bit more of a open natural and that sort of thing, but it's really the main ramp that you're worried about, and I feel like you have so long to react to something like that.
That's true. I think it's almost all about surrounding the Hellions, right? So like if Seither kind of comes out on the map a little bit too much, there's a chance there, but because he always builds a safety bunker so early, it's like, oh, it's kind of tough. And it seems like this early reactor style is what he's most confident in here, as is, okay, let's make that early game super safe, get the firepower up, get the bunker filled with Marines. Meanwhile, Meo's build is looking completely stock standard for him. I don't know if I've ever seen MeomaikA pull off gas before. He normally likes to take just a bit of a later gas, and that opens up the opportunity for really quick lair and tech. So he's just a big fan of getting a lot done off a single gas geyser. And you know what? It's a pretty quick third base as well, which I think this is a good adjustment he started making in the last while in this matchup, is he does take a much quicker third against Terran.
Yeah, like with pull first, normally the third timing is, you know, pretty normally 2.5 minutes. This time it's still about 2.5, even with the pull first adjustment there for MeomaikA. And there's that lair that you mentioned. Absolutely spot on there with the analysis that Meo really does love to go up to lair pretty quickly and just sit on that one gas for a long time. But he is getting those extra couple now. This does open up a lot of possibilities here for the Zerg. He doesn't have an Evo chamber up at the moment, so it does look like he's going to be playing slightly differently than game 1.
It's a great map for mutas, so I wouldn't mind just even quicker mutas this time around. Now, of course, he could play Hydras. Hydraling. You can't do Hydraling versus Terran? No. Yeah, well, he'll do it. He'll add Infestors, if he even feels like adding splash damage at all. It's a wild kind of version of Hydra that he sometimes brings out.
That's actually how he beat Morrow in WSG. I cast those games for the StarCraft 2 highlights channel. I'd never seen the games before. In game 2, I think it was on like Mech Depot or something like that. Like it was a long time ago. And MeomaikA had 2 Hydra Dens, and I'm like, oh, that has to be a misclick. And no, it wasn't. It was so he could get muscular augments and group spines together, and go for a Hydra bust. And he killed. And that was back when when Maru was easily the best Terran in the world.
Oh yeah, yep. I cast those games for YouTube afterwards. I remember being like, what happened here? And I was like, I got to watch Maru's brain break. Like that was, that's Meo just did things he did not understand. Nonetheless, Hellion drop coming in with the Marine Prong again. Liberator behind it, 3rd CC. This is kind of the same build from last game. Seither seems to have found what he thinks is a one-size-fits-all solution to Meo. Hydras will do pretty well at shutting all of this down. They're all about to pop out. They're not quite ready.
And a bit of a supply block here for Meo as well. He's got a few units on the way, so I don't think he's not going to have an army. There's going to be units to defend, of course, but obviously he's going to slow down the production at least. Like, he can't get around of drones behind this or something like that because of these overlords being picked off by Seither.
Ooh, Hellions posturing at the front. Oh, Hydras and Queens more than ready for it, though. Seither's just got to chill. Honestly, there's no need for him to do damage here. He's got a well-timed 3rd command center. It's not the fastest, but it's good enough against Meo's sort of build order. And I like that. Uses the Liberator at home. Ooh, is that factory landing on a tech lab? Because it probably should be in the near future just to make sure he's safe. Yeah. Lifts that one off the factory. Yeah, makes a new one. You just need to make sure you got the tanks because the Hydras are so good at busting through your wall.
It almost looks like MeomaikA is doing a 1-to-1 of his ZVP build. It's just so similar.
Yeah. I mean, he's killed a lot of people with this, like, especially if you open mech. We've seen a lot of mech players die to it. Very confused at how quick these Hydras get across there. And the double upgrades for them, of course, give them a lot of flexibility. His economy, though, very low. Double upgrades on the way for Seither. Seither's got double upgrades. He's got a better composition, a better economy by far. The Hydra's going to go for the Liberator dive.
Yeah, they're going to go for the Liberator, but there's double bunker here with 8 Marines. He's got the choke point here with the Hellions as well. And this army, like, I know the Hydras are very scary. They obviously have tons of damage output, but they are light units. So the army of Seither is quite powerful against it, even though it is kind of getting pushed back into this little choke point here.
Yeah, once the tank sieges, Meo's got to back out of this. He's already droning. I think it's a bit of nice damage for him. Get some depots. Could get maybe a few more of those SCVs if he wanted to. But I think it's wise to not lose this army. Now, as 1-1 upgrades kick in, the bio can annihilate Hydraling. This is an arms race of damage, and the problem is your upgrades are so far behind. As Meo, your Evos have just started, this 1-1's about to finish. And this means that if that bio just hits a certain point, and it will hit that point maybe 1 minute from now, he's going to have enough Marines, he can just stim onto you and kill your whole army. And it's going to be super one-sided. Once it starts going bad with these high damage, low hit point armies, your army just disappears. It's either a very good fight or a very bad fight, and those numbers are going to be swinging in Seither's favor in a moment.
Another Baneling Nest from MeomaikA, by the way. Not just Ling Hydra, which is all, not just Meo does that. Like True, the Korean player, is a previous DreamHack champion, used to play Ling Hydra a lot as well. But Ling Hydra and Banes, he's going Baneling speed even. MeomaikA, he's a new man.
Yeah, very fascinating to see that from him. Taking a 4th base very late, though, and having no creep spread. Hydraling Bane's really good at defending on creep spread. It's notoriously bad at attacking off creep. He doesn't spread creep. This style does not suit MeomaikA's playstyle. This is, in my opinion, objectively, it's not a good choice. It does not suit his style. The only creep he spreads is by dropping it out of Overlords. So the only way this works is if he can get some sort of big sandwich on Seither as Seither moves out on the map. Otherwise, these Banelings are going to be incredibly cost inefficient.
You're quite right. It all looks good, like compositionally. You're like, oh, Ling Bane Hydra. Yeah, no, it's a great unit comp, especially on creep. And then you look at the minimap and you're like, oh.
Yep. That's going to be nasty. I mean, look, it's going to be a maxed out army. So if Seither goes for one big push, I think there's always opportunities to do a lot of things with a big mobile Zerg force. If you catch your opponent a little out of position. But this is, Seither in caution mode just leaves most of his units at home. He'll only look around with a few Marines. And normally you can't do this. You don't have the luxury of sitting back as a Terran in this matchup because the Zergs will take the map, they will cover it in creep, and they will out-drone you. MeomaikA does none of these things, and so there is no punish happening for Seither countering the player. And this is where MeomaikA puts himself within a tight little box and gets taken advantage of. And we are seeing Seither do it in a real textbook fashion here. It's not game over by any means. It's never over till it's over. But as long as Seither stays cautious, right now, there is no avenue to victory for MeomaikA.
Yeah, no, you're quite right. This unit comp really starts to fall to the wayside once you just have a large wall of Terran defenses, and also SimCity, you know, with the tank set up, the Marine set up. He's just finished a second factory, so we can go to double tank production when the tech lab's done. MeomaikA setting up for a giant attack into the infrastructure of Seither, but the strongest shape is the triangle pig, and Pig, he's got the triangle.
Oh, this is a terrible angle to be attacking through. A disastrous choice.
MeomaikA. Oh, MeomaikA. It's a lot of banelings. It does kill a lot of Marines. A lot more banelings coming in.
Crazy amount of banelings. I mean, that is one hyper-charged army, but at the end of the day, a few Marines and tanks standing. That's all.
Oh boy. Man. In what world did he... anyway.
No, that attack made absolutely no sense.
Yeah,
it's okay. We're commentators. Our job is to talk up the players when we can. That attack made no sense, and this is the thing, is that's the point in the game where he stops being comfortable, and he knows it's going to get worse for him as it goes on. I really said going into this series, I think Ultras, if he can go to Ultras don't care about creep spread as much. I think they're a great unit for nullifying that heavy Marine tank, heavy army. And how did I say he could win? He could still win if Seither moved out and he caught him moving out. This was a great defense for Seither. He lost a few depots in the Liberator, took out a bunch of Hydras. He was on a better SCV count, better upgrades. So this didn't really do the damage that Meo was looking for, but I think it's completely playable from here. But Meo needed some sort of plan to take advantage of a turtling player. And we always talk about it. You either need to rush a turtling player and kill them really fast, or you need to out-macro them and take them out. This here was neither of those. This was a very slow, belated attack into a single angle, ultra choke point. And we've seen him do that multiple times against Seither in the last year, where he just loses patience, headbutts into a wall, and he knocks himself unconscious. Seither just needs to siege and stim. Barely needs to do anything else there. He just waits for Meo to impale himself.
And some people will say, you know, maybe stop smashing your head into a wall. And MeomaikA says, no, I just need to make my skull harder. So, you know, he's not wrong. If your skull's hard enough, you can break through a wall.
And that was the worst map for him as well. But it's just such a bummer because even if Seither moves out to take the fourth, like, you just catch him when he's moving down. Like, you know, there's just the moment he's not on that ramp, on that position, it becomes so much more possible. Like, that is one of the most unbreakable positions in the entire map pool. It's why we say Romanticide, you can't really, you either kill them early or you kill them when they go to a fourth and probably a fifth base. That's when the Terran gets really spread out and they can't be everywhere at once, and the Zerg has a bit more mobility. But it's always cinematic. Yeah, the Banelings, I mean, that was like 80 Banelings, mega clumped, like absolutely insane attack. And you know what's funny is he did kill most of Seither's army. So maybe if he didn't commit so hard to the Hydra attack, he might have actually won there, and we'd be like all just shaking our heads in disbelief and go, wow, it actually worked.
Yeah, I mean, normally when you have a Baneling for every man, woman, and child in the Terran army, that works. But, I mean, you know, tanks, heck of a unit. Positioning, high ground, all very, very good things to have. Anyway, in the bottom right here, looking to see if he can take a map advantage back from Seither, from Litecoin Gaming. This is MeomaikA.
In the top left-hand side, representing a Mind Freak and settling into that defensive mode that serves him so well in this matchup, it's Seither.
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate, I guess, Achilles heel of MeomaikA is that he can just be really impatient sometimes, and has a stubbornness, a doggedness to just want to be aggressive, want to be in your face. And if people are super ultra prepared for that, like Seither was on Romanticide, you are literally throwing yourself onto their sword, onto their white wall of spears. And one of the best ways to counter that wall of spears is not to jump into it. Yeah,
well, you know, it's this crazy thing because Meo is such an expert at what he does. I think there's almost like a sunk cost fallacy where he's like, well, I have to keep doing the thing that I'm good at. Because, like, I've already put so much effort into it. But it's like, everyone is so afraid of you. They're so afraid. Like, these guys aren't just playing their standard styles and brushing Meo aside. Look at what Probe said yesterday in his interview after narrowly beating Meo 3-2. He was like, we were talking about the light shade game, which he did end up losing, but he almost made a miraculous comeback. He was killing like maybe 3 times the number of units that he was losing. It was insane. And he was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I was coming back, but like, I mean, I was on just Mass Void Ray Phoenix. It's like a terrible army. If he makes a single Infestor or Viper, it kills me. And you know, you were like, well, but Meo doesn't build spellcasters in that matchup ever. And he was like, yeah, but imagine if he did, he would be so good. He would be so good. Those are Probe's words. The guy who faced him and dispatched him yesterday. And I've got to agree, if Meo, he doesn't need to play a perfect different style. Ooh. But here in this matchup, if he can spread a bit of creep, go to Hive Tech, go to Ultras, and wait for the Terran to move out and come fight on his terms. Maybe hit a Broodlord timing if they're Mega Turtle. Just rush to Broodlords. There's so many options to punish a Terran who is just camping in his corner of the map. But because he's not doing them, he's letting his opponents get away with murder.
Speaking of murder, Reaper gets a drone kill here, which is obviously very nice. Usually the Reaper's just here for a scout. Also, interesting, we're seeing a Reaper expand. I feel like we haven't seen one of those in a while from Seither. He's been prioritizing just SCV scouting into Marines. Lightshade is a map that MeomaikA likes quite a bit, so we're seeing the Evo go down. It does actually lend itself to MeomaikA's style of that heavy Ling count +1 attack style. It's a good map for it.
Good for surrounding your opponent, just diving on in there. It's kind of crazy to me that he still gets his lair at 3 minutes and 18 seconds after opening such a quick Evo chamber. Because I'm like, man, that's wild. Like, and the third base, like, how do you, I mean, you know, how do you have enough money for all of that? You definitely can't afford Aspire straight away and melee that early and non-stop droning. But I think he just delays his third queen a bit. Doesn't really get one on the third for quite a while. Mixes a few lings in. And he just kind of, it keeps it ambiguous because you see a quick lair. You're not always sure exactly how much he's committing behind that. Ooh, he's going to dive.
Oh, I thought about it. That would have been a mistake for sure. Yeah, really fast lair. I see they're going for the Viking here as well. It feels like Seither's playing just super stock standard. Just with the, I guess, you know, getting stim right away and not worrying about getting that tech level on the starport.
Yeah, a little bit of a change up from the previous games. And he's actually going second and third barracks. Ooh, I wonder if Seither's just going to try and push into him. So, I mean, it could be defensive, but to go 3 barracks before third command center usually means you're going to try and do a very hard and committed bio attack onto the Zerg's third base. Now, that's really good if they go mutas. You can just go reacted factory and just rally Widow Mines, but it's actually going to be Hydras from Meo. So I think he'd be better off going siege tanks on his factory, and he is building tanks right now. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can always, as a Terran in TVZ, just get a couple tanks just to hold the door and then decide what you want to do with your add-ons later. I'm really, like, my favorite style of Terran, or at least the changes in the meta in TVZ in the last few, like, I'd say maybe like 6 months or so, is the much faster second factory styles. I find them so cool. Like, you're playing bio still, but you just have access to a lot of Widow Mines if you need them, and conversely, tanks as well.
The Dream is one of the guys who was
that's
obsessed with that. Like, I remember when some players figured it out, and they're like, "Hey, I'm going to attack you. You only have like 8 Marines at 8 minutes into the game. You've just been Widow Mine dropping me nonstop." It's very cool to get that sort of thing up. Of course, in this game, just going to be a third command center, so it's a defensive 3 barracks plus tanks, which means he'll be impervious to any early Hydra attack. But Meo seems to be sensing this. And he's just like, yeah, no, I've scouted pretty well. It's fine. I'm going to go 2-1, so double upgrades this time around. He's getting some Hydras out, but he's mixing drones, drones, and Hydras. And, I mean, if he tries to attack the wall at all, it's going to be a terrible idea. But as Seither moves down to take the third about 2 minutes from now, could be an opening for Meo.
Viking still sharking around, looking for any overlords, just trying to wipe Meo off the map as much as possible. It's one in the middle of the map here. It's a free kill, but... it's at one of the, I guess, more obvious spots, and one of the pillars that you can hide on there for an overlord, but you don't see it from the low ground unless you have a flying unit. Ling's poking at the natural, but it's just a look here. And, yeah, confirming that there's siege tanks as well. So MeomaikA can probably, if he was going to go for some kind of attack, going to rethink that. Did he go at muscular augments already? He usually gets that first, right? Yes, he has. Yeah. Okay, just confirming.
Yep, always gets the nice muscular legs for those Hydras. A bunch of Zergans go down to the Hellions there. Does push back Meo's map vision. Meo has, is that 2 active creep shimmers, Maynard?
Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
Slow down, buddy.
Just one.
Did he make a 4th queen?
Wow. And a Baneley nest again. So he's going to, it seems like the Baneley's being
just 3
added
queens,
in.
my bad.
Yeah,
it's
just
so
he
crazy.
skipped one inject to get a creep tumor, just one. But
so
yeah.
crazy to me. I still can't. We've seen so many MeomaikA games, and I'm still like, wow, he really just doesn't like queens. Imagine a Zerg that doesn't like queens.
It's wild, but you know what? Sue was actually one of the Zergs for the longest time who did this a lot. Not as extreme as Meo, but he would just have one creep queen in this matchup and rush up to just more drones, more Zerglings, more mutas, everything like way faster than any other Zerg, and he would get ahead because of it. And remember, Sue had that swarming character, that quality where he could just kill people in the mid game, which Meo sometimes has. Yeah.
Sue didn't like spellcasters either. He was very vocal about that. He was like, I want fighting units. I don't want infestors. I don't want vipers. You know, the tier 3 is not really my wheelhouse. It's all about mid game, early game. And Sue, like, and he said that in 2019, and that was the year that he, broke the curse. Was the IM champion.
Yeah. I remember he did evolve. He started building 2 Vipers would be his late game composition. He would make 2 spellcasters. If they died, he'd never replace them. But yeah,
of course. Yeah.
Marines are going to come into the main base here and see what they can do. There's an infestation pit on the way, so if they spot the hive start, that'd be kind of awesome.
Yeah. Well, MeomaikA might wait till he gets rid of that before he pushes the hive button. He's got the money for it.
He starts a queen there though, so I think he might actually press the hotkey and not even realize that it doesn't start because he's got a queen in production in the main because he thought that queen was going to get sniped by this drop. That's a little bit of a bummer if that happens, because I really I keep saying ultras because ultras are just going to add such good meat in front of his army. He seems dead set on going mass baneling, and with no creep spread, it's just a disaster waiting to happen. Banelings aren't good off creep unless your opponent's not looking or their army's not there. So how is he going to engineer a situation where Seither's not looking or his army's not there? The last game, he attacked into the strongest defensive position, and Seither set up the same thing again. Hive is starting up now, so that's very good.
Yeah.
I like that he's going to the next step. His economy is not gigantic, but I think it's more than big enough for me. I actually think he should stop his economy growth here because he's going to need a bigger standing army than a more defensive player would. He's going to be a player who needs to have more units ready to jump on the Terran the moment he moves on the map.
And he is spreading more creep than he normally does in this matchup. So he's got a lot of, well, not a lot of creep spread, but he's got a lot more creep spread than he normally has. Active tumors still being utilized here to take over his side of the map. MeomaikA is adjusting mid-series, and this is what I wanted to see from him. This is the MeomaikA that I think can beat Seither, can upset the history between these two players, to just adjust to how Seither's playing this game. Seither playing extremely passive, only relying on small investments of single dropships to go out there and harass the Zerg while just waiting and expecting that the Zerg is just going to eventually run out of patience and attack into him.
Yeah, punish the coward Terran, man. Cover the map in creep and out-expand, get the hive tech. It's going to be just 3-3 and a single Viper. So it's the upgrades and the single Viper that seems to be the late game that he wants. Maybe he wanted the second one, but his supply capped right now is Meo. No Ultra Cavern on the way, no Adrenal Glands. Both very important upgrades that I'd like to see him go. Now, my big problem with Meo is he's so far back on the map. With this sort of army, you need to be out there and stopping him take a good siege position. But Meo's sitting so far back, he's not controlling the map. Even here, if he jumped on that army right then as it moves out, I can imagine that working out, that being really good. But Meo, he's got to still be assertive. He's still got to look for the fight on his terms. Do not let Seither come across and take a good angle.
We're seeing a Viper here from MeomaikA, which is even rarer than the Bailey Nest. Up and running now for the Zerg on the right-hand side. Getting 3-3 upgrades. I don't think he started Adrenal yet, though, which is interesting because he is still pretty Ling heavy.
It's a big army on this map for the Zerg. The one Viper starting to suck up some energy. Zerg army's not getting any better, so this is it's going to become even more important. He's actually just making so many Banelings. His army needs to be split massively and come in from multiple angles when the fighting happens. But Seither kind of knows that Meo gets impatient, and you can see third factory on the way. He's just dropping more command centers. Seither is just going to keep waiting because he knows at some point Meo is just going to get impatient and run into him and take bad fights. So that's what Seither's banking on here. Let's see if Meo can avoid falling into that trap of predictability.
Seither going to start some multitask here, attacking up to the north side, just pushing back the creep, getting the Zerg to look up north while he attacks down at 6 o'clock. But MeomaikA actually reading this. His army's rotating to the south. He's broken off some units to the north side. Majority of his army's here for these double drops, though. Yeah, Seither's going to have to disengage real quick here. There we go.
Double drop will rotate. Doesn't... the Viper. Abduct will take care of both of those, no doubt. But doesn't really have too much mobility for it.
Yeah, one dropship gets taken there. There we go. All right. Yoink.
Yoink! Does get the job done. 44 more banelings. We need to see the unit count. We are about to go up to, I think, 110 banelings, maybe, or about 80. Okay, about 80 banelings. So yeah, essentially with that sort of army, it has more firepower than any other army in existence. If your opponent's clumped even a little bit, you could wipe it pretty quickly. It's just, it's going to cost you way more than their army. So if you can't capitalize on that and then get on the production right after, they're going to rebuild and still be ahead. It is never going to be efficient for you unless your army is hugging together in a tight group.
And I love the way that Mio is playing here. Like, he's going in a hive, he's amassing tons of resources, and his gas bank isn't great, but he's getting a ton of resources, hopefully banking up lava and injects and that sort of thing, and dropping static defense up and around the map. And, I mean, the creep spread's not fantastic. I really wish that he was still spreading creep here, just because having the map covered and punishing the passivity, if that is a word, it probably isn't, of Terran, it's a really easy thing to do.
So the one thing I'm looking at here is it does feel like we're running out of time. Don't attack from one angle. You know, we can't attack into this. So I like some parts of what Mio's doing, but he's missing the finishing blow. Look at this point, 13 minutes in the game. Seither has not made any significant attacks to the other side of the map, Maynard. All he's done is mass siege tanks. He's now got Marauders, Hellbats, Marines. Banelings is the worst possible thing to attack into this.
It's 125 Banelings, Pig, when those 45 finish morphing. That is even a Baneling for every man, woman, and child.
This is a terrible trade for MeomaikA. Killing the planetary is something, but it is not worth it. I mean, unless he gets on the production, that is the one way he makes this worth it. If he can get on the production, maybe. He's still got 39 Banelings, 13 Hydras. Seither's got decent production, but I think he's only on about 8 barracks. He's losing a few command centers. Mio actually, now as these command centers start to fall, this starts to become worth it.
Widowmines here on the natural. MeomaikA's Widowmines. Oh my god, okay, pulls away from the Widowmines there. Going for the SCVs, which he is forcing to pull back there.
His Hydras were target fired on the command center on the right side, and they all move commanded into those Marines. They literally hugged the edge of the map and just walked into the Marines. About 15 Hydras did not kill that orbital command center, and they walked into the Marines. A huge micro mistake from Mio, who units lost tab. We've got to look at it. We have to behold the savagery.
And just, oh my god, it hurts, man, it hurts. 97 Banelings, that's the, it doesn't count the ones that connected as well with the Terran armies. A lot more Banelings than that have died in this game. And look at the gas bank of MeomaikA.
You know, I thought it would actually be worse than that even.
he actually, like, he can make a lot of Banelings right now, which is all well and good, but he actually can't make, like, tier 3 units. He can't drop a Ultra Cavern, he can't get more Vipers.
Well, what I was going to say before that attack, and unfortunately, you know, is, imagine if you just hit with Broodlords. Even now, if 8 Broodlords came in, Seither is so screwed. He's so tank heavy. He's so countering this sort of army. There's no extra starports. He doesn't have Ghosts out yet. Even if he did, it's really hard to use Ghosts first, like Broodlords that surprise you. So this is one of those things, is once again, Seither is afforded the luxury of playing campaign. He is playing the last game of Wings of Liberty, where you just build walls of tanks and bunkers and hang on.
Wait for Kerrigan.
Wait for Kerrigan, yeah. If you can take Kerrigan down, you got it. And that's essentially this. Those Banelings are not trading well. Can they get the mineral line?
They're going to get the mineral line. They are killing a lot of SCVs, and that's all well and good. The problem for MeomaikA, though, is he's not killing Seither's army. And Seither has so many units, more than MeomaikA right now. So I think that if Seither goes for a counter push, MeomaikA is going to find it a spot of bother.
You know what? I mean, 36 SCVs. That command center. There's still no command center on the bottom base.
Yeah, true.
He's only got one base that's actually got a lot of minerals on it. He'll land another. If he wants to rebuild SCVs, it's going to be a slow road to recovery. He lost quite a few orbitals that were building and had just built in that first assault on the south. And losing your orbital bank is such a big problem, right? He's lost, what, 3 planetaries and 1 orbital in this game. 4 command centers have gone down. And that's actually really big because now Seither, he didn't quite get to the like 10, 15 orbital command center stage where he can just blanket mules and doesn't care about losing workers. Does he still have an incredibly scary army? Yes. But has Mio dragged his economy down into the swamps a little bit? Absolutely. And if Mio can take a 7th base, he'll be in actually a decent spot. But Mio's economy, it's also dwindled on his side, and this is not doing well for him. Not a good angle.
No, and look at how Marauder heavy Seither is. He's just like, yeah, you want to keep making hundreds of Banelings? That's fine. They will meet a wall of Marauders. Just say the word, baby. That's what they'll say to all those Banelings, no problem. A move through that. Fighting A move with A move is what that Marauder is, and I like it.
Indeed. Lots more Zerglings and Banelings on the way here for Mio. Still hasn't spread any creep across the map. And I don't think the Viper survived, right? So I think it is just Hydraling Bane now. which means, yeah, no real complexity in the army. Nothing that's going to kind of massively turn a fight around. It's just, that's the last boom right there, Maynard. There's no bank. 69 workers for Meo. If he fights right now, he's not going to be able to remax, not even close.
Yeah, absolutely. So to keep those Banelings alive and ready for the eventual move out of Seither. Seither, even maxed out, is just waiting for MeomaikA to come to him, using the advantage of his higher terrain, choke points, SimCity that he's made for himself here at this low ground third. He does, obviously, you see there's got some macro work to do to replenish his economy. His economy does suck, but the bank is still there. And I do like that Seither's just being extremely patient. Just taking it, he's taking a breather. He's like, I was 30 workers down at one point. If I just sit back, and he keeps throwing units at me, he's going to be horribly inefficient, and I can actually turn this into a better economy for myself.
Oh, the tanks and the mines, but the Zerglings actually do okay at dragging all those shots away from the more expensive units in the rear, and the Banelings are going to have to pull back from that fight. I wouldn't say the cleanest of trades, but he didn't lose too much gas, which is the actually thing that Meo is really starved on. So taking out a planetary like that, he can do that a few more times, but Meo has not taken gases on the southern base. He has not taken a new hatchery in about 5 minutes, Maynard. And because of that, guess what? He's running out of places to mine from. If we get a look through Meo's bases right now, his bases are going to be oversaturated in a little bit. So he might be mining from everything, but it's going to be dropping over the next minutes. He's not securing any of the middle hatcheries, and that means Meo's going to feel that urgency to not just, oh yeah, let's keep trading and keep him down. He's thinking, I got to kill, I got to take these middle bases, they're really hard to defend. Oh, I got to do something here. I think this top side is the right angle to go from, but where are the Banelings? They are far behind right now.
Yeah, the Hydra's starting the assault here for MeomaikA. In come the Lings, and the Banelings on the river here. Oh, this one angle for MeomaikA. He hasn't really triggered the minefield. Now he does.
Oh, this is such a weird fight right now. There's so many Marauders, and they're so good against the Banelings. Marauder Mine is actually fantastic versus this army. Vipers don't really have any energy right now. Meo's going to have to back off for the moment. 80 more Zerglings on the way. Now, that army is actually terrible versus Zerglings, Maynard. So if Meo could have like 110 supply, 220 Zerglings, he could kill that whole army really efficiently on the top. And likewise, this base here on the bottom, very exposed to mass Zerglings. But what Seither has is an army that is designed to smash Hydras and Banelings. This is exactly what Maru did to dismantle Raynor a couple of times and kind of forced him off of that Hydraling Bane Lurker style that he loves to play so much.
Scans and sees that Meo's trying to take the 1 o'clock hatchery here. Trying to force an engagement with the Widowmines. Oh, do not fire off. Meo gets rid of those before they get their charges shot there. And once again, see the retreating into his shell. It's like, oh, you want to attack? All right.
Oh, this army, it's a crazy engagement here. The Blinding Cloud's doing quite well. The Banelings, about 60 Banelings for about 15 Marauders. A sloppy trade is probably the best way we can describe that. The Lings, though, are going to get the planetary in the north, and he will get most of his Hydras out. So once again, keeping Seither's ability to mine from these fresh bases pretty small. He is actually keeping Seither contained. If he takes the bottom base in the middle as well, Meo, then I think he can keep doing this all day. But I don't think he's ever going to secure that base. I don't think he feels comfortable doing it. And so it's just a matter of his resources are going to run out on his side of the map way faster than Seither's will. Seither can do this all day, and he's still got bases very close to his side of the map that are filled with minerals and gas.
I do feel like keeping the boot on Seither here with the constant attacks, like it's inefficient for Meo, of course, to lose all those Banelings and whatever units to try and do the damage and pick off the planetaries and whatnot. But as long as he's picking off planetaries, he is still heavily outmining Seither and has been for quite a while, even though, he's going to have macro problem if he doesn't keep taking hatcheries, obviously. And he's taking the south one as I say that, which Seither does see with the sensor tower. But again, like the MeomaikA has bought himself the ability to be inefficient. Even though it looks gross, it's working.
For now. Is it going to work, though? This top base is established. That bottom left base is established. Seither's mining healthily off both of them. He has a very constant 30 supply advantage. He is, once again, incredibly tank Widow Mine reliant. He is so weak to Broodlords. And Meo has the money to do it, but Meo doesn't use that tech very often at all. And I want to keep saying, oh, Meo never uses that tech and be really cocky about it, because I feel like whenever I do that, Meo surprises us and does it, and I'd like to see him change things up and do it. I'm like, come on, Meo, make a great Aspire! A big Broodlord push would easily take one of these bases out.
I've never seen a Zerg abduct a Widowmine before. That I've seen.
It's a 75 mineral, 25 gas unit. It's not incredibly cheap. Why not? Just used to pick away here. He's going to go for a bit of an attack. I don't think that's going to work out too well. This is so Marauder heavy. The Lingbane Hydra. Oh, that tank line in the back, Maynard. Those tanks.
No. Not a good trade for Meo. I don't think he's going to get the planetary this time. And he does disengage. Obviously, not a good trade for the Zerg. He can still afford to replenish again. But you're quite right earlier. Like, he can't keep doing this.
You know what?
Indefinitely.
That fight was... If we could, do we have the battle report mod on? If we could see the battle report for that last fight, I'm curious because the tanks on the top had no Marauders or Marines buffering for them. So they got some brutal shots off, but then they died to the Hydras kind of faster than they normally would have. So even though more resources died for Meo, he actually killed so many siege tanks there, and he's got the Vipers refilling. If he could kill the base, it would be so huge right now. I don't know. He's got a big supply lead. He's up 25 army supply. Is it going to be enough?
Oh, Hydras are coming on in here, just trying to chip damage there at that command center. Whereas Seither's desperately trying to create some choke points. Lots of Widow Mines!
Oh my god, those Widow Mines! Oh, I'm crying for those Zerglings, mate. About 50 Zerglings ran into a choke point and got absolutely obliterated. Meo takes out the planetary, though, so it doesn't matter. Those Zerglings took one for the team. He forced the bio to spread backwards, busts the planetary with the Banelings, and dude, Meo is actually going to overwhelm him with absolute map control. And as you said, he's still mining so many more resources. He's taken both the middle bases now. He's mining off them fully. And you know what? Inefficient fights be damned. You're always inefficient as Zerg versus Terran in this matchup. Keep in mind, right? Whenever we watch like Raynor, Clem versus Dark, anything like that, the Zerg is never trading better than the Terran. So if you look at this overall, you're like, hey, actually, as much as there's messy fight, it's whenever he cracks through, gets in the SCVs, kills some command centers, he's actually, suddenly the trades actually turn very good for Meo. And, those Widow Mines still causing him trouble right now. I do wonder where, if like Ghosts would have been a better choice than the Widow Mine tank combo. I do wonder that. But this is such a good map for Meo's style because there's so many big wide open areas. You can see that Seither, he's like, oh no, I've got to get back to the top of the map, but his tanks aren't there.
Tanks do have this high ground, but I don't know if Seither's got the numbers anymore. Blinding Cloud is covering a couple of those tanks. Some of the ones are just sieging into the fight, getting picked off by the Hydras. And Meo disengages to the north side. Yeah, still maintaining like a 70 supply lead, though. It feels like the damage is done here. And Seither really is running out of options. He does not have a lot of gas in the tank anymore. Well,
he's got to defend this top base, which means he's got to come and fight the Lingbane Hydra in the open. And I mean, we talked about Lingbane Hydra not being all that efficient off creep, but one little problem that's happened here for Seither is he went so Marauder heavy. He did not have the Marines to gun down the Lings and the Banes in the front line. He didn't have that consistent damage. He was so splash damage